Hello friends, you're with the Lonesome Gamer, and I'm still playing 7 Ages. The Minoans managed to push through the Middle Ages. Unbelievable, this old and, well, quite small culture managed to be by far the most advanced civilization in this game. They make it now into the Renaissance. And then there's a big gap here. And then we see here at the beginning of the Dark Ages the Koreans and the Romans. And actually I forgot to let Jesus die at the end of the last video, when the Romans entered the Dark Age here, the Age of Revolts here. Jesus should have died then. I killed Caesar, but Jesus stayed alive, but I removed him now from the game. Okay. Yeah, we're seeing now empires falling. Some old empires like the Egypt, they faded away simply because they didn't generate any more points, and it didn't make sense to push them through the Middle Ages. They were not as promising anymore. I think we're going to see the same for the Celts and maybe some others. Okay, so let's do the planning for the next turn. Okay. First player is green. And we'll start, of course, again with the Start Empire phase. And this time we're going to see some. First we have here the gray player, who is still in the lead. Only by a few points, but still in the lead. And he's now starting the Vietnamese. It's age 4, and they can be started in age 3 to 7. They start in Tonkin with 18 bucks. 1 elite marker. May retreat before conflict in 1 land area during each empire's action. Okay, we got a setup -3 and lots of cool ways to generate points. So after a weaker period for the gray player, where he lost a lot of his advantage, he's now kind of pushing on again. So let's start them. Okay. They start here in Tonkin, and there was actually a archer there from the Siamese, so we're going to see a conflict here, but the chances are obviously really bad. So they got a 12, well, that's 24. Then because they got an elite marker, that gives them an additional point, so it's 25. And because they are in a higher age, that gives them again an additional point, so that would be then 26. Jungle comes with a defense value of 2, so it's again, so these guys have a 2 actually, so it's 26 against 2. Well, let's draw the cards anyway. The attacker draws first. Okay, that's 29. And the others have a 5. So, well, they can 24, so that makes, yeah, they can obviously keep every unit, and that guy is lost. And so is probably the Siamese Empire now. It was the pestilence first, the last turn, that kind of prepared the ground for this invasion of the Vietnamese now. And yeah, this is definitely gonna be a pretty bad situation now for the Siamese. Okay. We're gonna see another Star Empire action. The pink player, he's gonna start the Aztecs. They're gonna start in Mexico, right over here, and that gives him the opportunity to kind of attack over here the Plains Americans, which are doing really quite well. He also had the opportunity to start the pirate state, or maybe even the French. But the French, well, they would have had to compete against the Romans here, which is definitely not easy. Although there would have been a chance, I guess, but it would not have been easy. And Red is not doing that good, so I think it's a better idea to kind of compete against these guys over there. The Plains Americans and the Aztecs are a pretty strong civilization. Setup -5. So they will end up somewhere here in the middle of the Dark Ages, I guess, which is not so great. When you win a conflict, replace one lost enemy unit with one of yours. That's definitely cool. So, yeah, good card for them. And they start with 18 bucks. Okay, so here they are. And they are technologically also far advanced compared to the Plains Americans. Although they cannot build any infantry either, so that knight here doesn't really bring them an advantage. But they can build a swordsman, which is not possible yet for the Plains Americans. But they're not so far away from doing so, so maybe they might survive there, but it's definitely not going to be easy for them. Okay. And they also have one left, actually. Where was that? No, it's the pink one, damn. Okay, and we see another empire starting, and this will be the Japanese, started by the yellow player, and they are one of the best civilizations, I guess. They start with 20 bucks, ages 2 to 7, setup -4, which brings them, well, at the end of the Dark Ages. One elite marker, ships cost 4 in ages 6 and 7, so not yet. Treat all areas as fertile for urbanization. Then they gain glory markers for the seafaring nation. They gain glory markers if they're rich and for having the most wheat. Okay. So let's see how they will do. And it's interesting to see how, after we've seen at the first ages of the game, well, basically everything going on here in the Near East and in Europe. Now things I'm very much concentrating here in Asia. There are lots of empires now appearing in East Asia. Okay, so they didn't spend all their money. They spent only 17 because, well, they gain points for being the richest or the second richest. Here they are. And That's what they are right now. The Zimbabweans are the richest because of their copper mine, I think. But they have $3 left, so that makes them second richest. And I think they gain an elite marker. Yeah, exactly. So here we are. Okay, so that was then the end of the Start Empire phase. And we're going to see now the production phase. The Melanesians. These guys here, they will do a production action. So, let's see. They got 9 and 4, so that's 13. So that means if we halve that, because it's a barbarian folk, they get 7. So let's see what we do with that. Okay, guess what I'm gonna do is I'm only gonna spend $4. I'd love to buy another galley, but if I do that, I cannot afford these two guys. So I think it doesn't matter actually. Okay, and in that way I can kind of prevent the Japanese being second richest. So that's kind of cool. Okay, I'm going to place some here in Papua and the other one here in the Blue Mountains. Okay. More production by the Polynesians. Well, they're doing quite good actually. Is a 4, and that doesn't give them anything because just desert. So it's 4. It's well, it's also basically $7 for them. They don't pay any maintenance. Damn it. There we go. Okay. Yep. And basically I'm gonna yeah, I think I'm gonna simply build another ship. I guess yeah, that makes most sense actually. I want the biggest fleet, yeah, and want to be big on the sea, so it makes sense to build another ship, I guess. Let's save the rest. Yeah. Do they have another ship? Yeah, there we go. Cool. Okay, I guess I'm gonna place them here in the Melanesian basin. And we're gonna see the Siamese. They have a wild card. So I mean, I thought about producing with them too, but now I wonder if that makes any sense, because, well, using the wild card for producing would cost me a glory point, and I don't think that I can stand against the Vietnamese. Well, I would earn, well, on the other hand, you know, Cambodia would give me 5-6 points. It's not that bad actually. Maybe I should give it a try. I got the administrator, which makes my units a little cheaper. I think I'm gonna give it a try. Why not? So I'm gonna lose a glory point, which is not great. but I don't want to make it too easy for the gray player. Okay, actually what I want to do is, I forgot to do that. When the Polynesians did their production action, I want to play when target empire starts production, it earns no income from sea or ocean areas. That's pretty painful for them, and I want to do that. So that means they will only gain $2, $4, and this is halved. So they end up with $2, and basically that means they cannot afford their ship. And this is it then. So they kind of wasted their turn. But otherwise I think I would not play that card. So yeah, I think it makes sense to do this now. And the Siamese, they decided to play La Patrie en danger. Play when target empire starts production. Half cost of its new units. Remove 1 elite marker. Okay. So they have to pay now very little for their units because the administrator already reduces the cost by 1. So yeah, that could be, they might end up with a pretty big force now, although they have only $6. Okay, so the Siamese also managed to bring 6 units on the table with these 2 special cards. So that was definitely pretty cool. And it's going to be very hard for the Vietnamese to conquer Southeast Asia in that way, actually. Okay. Will we see more production? Nope. Fine. Then we come to the trade and progress phase. And the Romans, they will do a trade and progress action. And they're going to do that with the Celts. So I guess they're going to throw in their bad augury card here. And the Celts have to use their 6 here with the Italians and the storms. So let's draw 2 cards for the Romans. First, they have a modifier +1, while the Celts come with a trade modifier of -1. Okay, that's pretty sure the Romans. So this is a 7 + 6, that's a 13. +1 is a 14, and the Celts, that's a 4. So that's a 9. So clear victory here for the Romans. So they get this card now, the Celts get that card. And the Romans can now progress 2 spaces, but they don't want to do that. They only progress 1 space, because in that way, at the end of the turn, they would move here anyway, but then they would gain a lot of glory points. So they think that's worth waiting a turn. On the other hand, I'm not sure if this is really a good idea, because, well, they could try a trade with the Minoans afterward, which would then bring them over these 2 dark ages here, because if they trade with a more advanced civilization, they can move 3 spaces ahead, but because the Celts are behind, they can only move 2 spaces ahead, or up to 2 spaces ahead. So I think we're going to try it like this now, and gain a few glory points. Well, actually, this will probably be many glory points, something like 6 or so. Okay, and then we're going to see a wild card here, and the Zimbabweans, they also want to do a trade action. So they're going to lose a glory point. The Zimbabweans are here. I don't know if they really want to do that. Is that really? No, that's a pretty bad idea, actually. I think I wanted to do it anyway because I would gain 2 points for a 1 trade. So I'm going to do that. I mean, I want to push through these dark ages, so I have to do it somewhere. Okay. I'm also going to use, again, the... Well, I wonder if... Yeah, I'm not sure. I mean, I could use the storms to really do some damage to the Minoans, or over here. So that's a pretty powerful card. On the other hand, I want to keep the bad augury here, which would be a 5. But I think that allows you to cancel any event card, which is probably even more interesting. So there is no empire within range of these guys. Although I'm not sure about... No, there is no empire within range of the Zimbabweans. So that means they trade with the deck. They play this card here, the 6. And that's a 2. So they get that crappy card instead. Not that great. And that allows them now to move 2 spaces ahead, which brings them right away in a dark age. So overall, probably wasn't the best idea to do that. But on the other hand, they have won a trade, and that gives them 2 glory points. And they want to move on because I kind of like them. I think they are pretty good, actually. By the way, they have a trade modifier of -1, but that doesn't make a difference now. Okay, no more trading in this turn. Maneuver actions. That's a nice card, by the way. Rare commodity. Play this on an empire involved in trade in progress. That empire decides whether cards are swapped. This trade action after cards are revealed. That's not a bad card, so they can use that for their next trade, maybe. Okay, yeah, now the maneuver actions. And we're going to see a maneuver action by the Satavahana, simply because they want to become second biggest in the world. And if they... I mean, they are in a dark age now. And usually I would have thought about trading with them to get out of that dark age. But if they only gain 2 more areas, then they would have been the second biggest empire in the world, which gives them an additional glory point then. So they move here. With this guy, they move here. With that guy, they move here. And with this guy, they then move here to Pakistan. And now, I'm pretty sure they are actually second biggest empire. It's only about land areas. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10. The desert doesn't count. What about the Romans? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Yeah. So they are second biggest. No doubt that the Chu are still the biggest empire here. But that's pretty cool for the Satavahana now. And yeah, we're going to see a maneuver action by the Minoans, and because they are Christian, they could now do this convert action, but I'm not sure if I want to do that. I don't think so, actually. What I want to do, though, is yeah, I want to move with that ship here to Egypt now. And I really wonder if I should move with this ship to Asia Minor. The problem is, if I do that, I will no longer be... That will cost me a glory point for sure, I guess. Okay, I'm not sure. I think... I don't know. On the other hand, it would be pretty cool to control Asia Minor. That would give me access to the Black Sea. Maybe I should think about that. But I won't do it. I will stay here, control these two areas, the Eastern Mediterranean, the Central Mediterranean. That makes me second biggest seafaring nation in the world. That gives me a good glory point. And I think the Black Sea is not that important right now, because if I... Oh, by the way, this city is reduced by 1 point at the moment I entered Egypt here, but it's now actually my city. I can start building ships here in Egypt and then move out here to the Red Sea, Arabian Sea. You know, I can build these ships of the line, which and then I don't have to be adjacent to one of my areas. I simply can move out to the open sea. So it will be much easier for me to gain control of the sea areas and the ocean areas. And this won't be necessary to get control of the Black Sea, I guess. Okay, another maneuver action. Well, actually, yes. By the Incas. Yeah, well, they're gonna spread out. One moves here. They have a lot of room here, so basically they can... Well, actually, if they move down here... Let me see, I think the jungle is basically only no, movement cost 2. Nah, that sucks. So they cannot move to Argentina, sadly. Anyway, so they're gonna move here. And the city is destroyed, and so is that city. If you enter a city it is reduced by 1 level, and because they were at level 1, they are sadly completely destroyed, which is bad for the Incas, but okay. Well, fine. Another maneuver action? Nope. Destiny, yeah. Here we are. We see a destiny action by the Koreans. They can draw 5 cards, and they are seriously thinking about discarding the Celts. And it's also not so sure what happens to the Satavahana. So if they find some good empires, it would be definitely helpful for them. 5 cards for them. The Phoenicians, well, definitely not that interesting. The Manchus, wow, that is not bad. They could play these guys near China, up here. So, but that kind of brings them in conflict with the Koreans that are controlled by themselves. So, I don't know if that is such a great idea. But they might think about that. Number 3 is then the Huns. Okay. Yeah, we've seen them before. The funny thing is with the time ripple here, play during Start Empire, target player can add or subtract 1 to the Empire's age range. So that means we could bring the Huns into play a second time and maybe start doing some trouble here in the Chu Empire. That's maybe a fun idea. Number 4 is the Macedonians. Well, we definitely don't need them. And the last one would be the Harappans. Well, these are all pretty bad cards, actually. The Huns are the only kind of serious option. So they were pretty unlucky with their cards. So I'm pretty sure we're going to see a strong move in the next turn by the Manchus. Okay. They're going to enter here and then probably attack right away. Hopei. Okay, let's see. I think something like that will probably happen. And then we see another destiny action here by the gray player. He's allowed to draw also 5 cards. So he needs some good combat cards for his conflict down here. Unique conjunction. Specify 1 action type that converts to a pass action for every player this turn. Yeah. Kind of funny, but I don't know. Glory? Half the glory every empire earns. Well, who knows that? That's an interesting starting empire, though. The Dutch. They can be started in age 4. So, if these guys suck, they might consider playing them in the Low Countries. That's definitely an option. The Mitanni. What is that? What? Oh, that could be interesting. Gives you the option to bring some disorder. The uprising gives you the option to bring some disorder in another area, in another country. route. Well, this is one of these cards where I actually have to use my house rules, because you cannot retreat during a conflict. Play when a side retreats from a conflict resolution, that side is destroyed instead. So I came up with a house rule for that card. Just a second. Okay, so my idea was here, if an empire loses a battle, play that card. The winner may move into an adjacent area of that empire if he has enough units left. He automatically wins that second conflict. That's a pretty crazy card, actually, if you play it like that. But in this, yeah, at that moment it doesn't really help him a lot. So this is better if you're attacking, well, maybe an area where where the units are more scattered, like here, for example. But if two big armies are clashing, that's not a very helpful card. Okay, the last card then would be Time Wrinkle. Well, and the Norwegians, they could also be started, and they are not a bad, they are kind of interesting, actually. Place on any action marker after all placed. Every empire with that marker can perform that action a second time after all other actions are concluded. Weird. Okay, but there are a few options if the Vietnamese should lose here. He could think about playing the Norwegians or the Dutch. They are both definitely interesting. Civilize. Yeah, we're going to see a civilize action. Not many, but one by the Chu. And they are going to build a few more cities, I guess. But let's see. First they can play artifact or event cards. Okay, let's see what we got here. Okay. We got that new dynasty. Well, that doesn't work. No. Okay. So we won't see any cards played. Is the Oracle? Wait a second. The Oracle was destroyed. So that means he could play the Oracle. On the other hand, he could also keep that card and play the Glory pour moi at the end of the turn. I think this is actually a better card for him. So, no cards. We might see a leader here. The Chu can control up to 2 leaders, and they can now choose between Confucius or Lao Tzu. So let's see who they're going to take, because they can be both played in H2. Okay, so Lao Tzu is actually a philosopher, while Confucius is an administrative philosopher and a religious leader. So obviously we're going to take Confucius, but I wonder why Lao Tzu is in the game at all. Well, okay, it's possible that Confucius would get killed by an assassination or so, and then Lao Tzu could be played. Okay. So let's see. Administrative philosopher, religious leader. Well, where are we going to place this guy? I think I'm going to place him pretty much in the center. If these guys from down here should think about attacking the Chu, then he could use his administrative skills and yeah, the whole army can be placed here then. That might be an interesting option. On the other hand, if we place him at the capital, that means that infantry is also cheaper than it's by one. It's cheaper by one. I'm not sure what to do actually. The point is, he doesn't know that he get problems from the Manchuria pretty soon. So I think I'm going to roll a die here. This is, in a way, that's important, but only if you have that knowledge that this guy will show up here. So on a 1 to 3, he will end up in the capital. Otherwise, he will go here, which would allow him to fight. Yeah, but on the other hand, you know, I'm not sure. Okay, here's the thing. So if the Manchus enter the game in the next turn, okay, well, I thought they had a free starting action, but this is not the case actually. Okay, well then it's actually pretty obvious, yeah. Okay, I think then it's fine for Confucius to start here. Yeah, everything's fine. Okay. Makes sense. And then we come to the urbanize action, and let me see. Well, I'm pretty sure we're going to see that city here grow by 2, and we have here, that is another fertile area, Hammam. So I will also build a city there. Okay, there we are. And well, that's basically it then. Then we're going to see the civilized action. Well, no more civilized actions here. The only thing that's left is discarding the Celts. I will do that. And there is a reason, because the Celts are now here at the beginning of the Middle Ages. They're not doing that bad. They could maybe generate 3 points each turn, which would at least give them 2 points as long as they are in a Middle Age. So I would maybe even think about, okay, let's try to trade them through these Middle Ages. They have a lot of units here, everywhere here 2 units. They can remove all that disorder with just 1 production action. It's not such a big deal. And then they can easily expand a little bit more. And I think they might actually stay the dominant force on the European continent. But the problem is they have a trade modifier of -1. There we are. And the only empire they can trade with right now is actually the Romans, and they have or the Minoans, and both of them have a trade modifier of +1. So basically, it's gonna be probably impossible for the Celts to trade through the Dark Ages. They will probably never make it. And that's the reason why I'm going to discard them. It simply doesn't make any sense. They don't have the potential with these neighbors to develop, and it simply won't work. I thought about moving here to Bashkir. That would enable him to trade with the Chu, and then the Chu have actually a trade modifier of -2 because they have Confucianism. So that could have been an idea. But anyway, I think that will take a while, you know. I have to do basically a production turn and then another movement turn, and I'm going to lose much time to do that. And they are not such a great empire. So I think it's a reasonable idea to remove them from the game. They stayed there for quite a long time. They were a successful empire. There is no doubt about that. But now it's time for them to go, actually. Okay, and we now have this completely weird situation where this big area is completely empty. It's unbelievable. Whole Eastern Europe, West Asia, the whole Middle and Near East, nobody there. It's all focused here on Asia. There's really a lot going on in Asia, and a little bit in North America, but it's ridiculous. It absolutely is. So, but there are simply right now basically every empire is launched. It's a very strange situation right now. But that's good for the Romans, of course, because, yeah, they definitely have the room, the time to trade through the Middle Ages. No problems from any side. They can grow a little bit. And then, yeah, just generate glory points, and they're going to generate a lot of glory points. So that card now goes away. And let's see now, the Koreans. Okay, they have their homeland. They are #1 in Northeast Asia. They are competing for that with the Japanese, and it's going to be a hard contest here. But right now they are #1 because both control one area, and they are first. And, well, that's basically it. 2 points for the green player here. And the Satavahana, they generate now 3 points because they are now second biggest in the world, which is quite impressive. But they are in a dark age, so that means only 2 points for them. And that means green will fall probably even more behind. Not that great. And the funny thing is, he will actually start probably another empire in East Asia. That is really weird. But okay, I mean, they could. Whatever. We'll see what happens with these guys. Wait a second. Here we go. Then we have the Plains Americans. They are still biggest in America and control their homeland, so that's 3 points for them. Really quite successful. The Minoans. Okay, they are the second biggest seafaring nation of the world, and they have actually the biggest fleet, I think, with 4 ships. So that gives them 4 points, and they are no longer in a dark age. So that gives them their full 4 points. The Vietnamese. Okay, they control their homeland, and that's basically it then. So only 1 point here. Actually, I forgot that progress action. That is quite important here. Okay. Yeah, the Vietnamese are also in a dark age now, but because they would only gain 1 point anyway, it doesn't really matter. And the next turn, the Chu enter a dark age. So they have to to find a way to cope with that. I don't really want to discard them. That's just too painful, I guess. But it's going to be very, very hard for them to get through these dark ages, because with the Confucianism, they have a -2 trading modifier, which really sucks. So, but there are some others who are not that great in trade, I think. So there is a chance for them to make it, I guess. But it's definitely not going to be easy. Okay, the Chu, yeah, well, these are now 4 points again, once more for the Chu. 1, 2, 3, 4. It's amazing how strong and you know how quiet this empire is in a way, how relaxed they can just rule, and this is it. And they do this now for ages, basically. They are the biggest empire. Nobody is really doing any trouble here. There were the Huns once here in the north, but they managed to defeat them with a few tactical maneuvers. And this is it. And since then, they just more or less peacefully sit there and get their 4 points every turn, which is cool. The Aztecs, well, point for their homeland. And that's basically it. The Melanesians, point for their homeland, a point for Australia, and this is it. So, not bad, but not that great. The Japanese, yellow player. Okay, well, that's simply a point for the homeland. The Polynesians, they are indeed the biggest seafaring nation in the world. So that's 3 points for them. And the Siamese, well, their homeland, and they still are #1 in Southeast Asia. But the problem is they don't control their home area, so that costs them 1 glory. So it's basically they don't gain any glory because they don't control their homeland. It's just a point for South Asia, and they will lose that again. Red player, and he is probably maybe the strongest player here because of the Romans. They generate 6 points. That is amazing. 2 for the artifacts, 3 for Europe, and 1 for their home area. So no doubt here, 6 points for the Romans. That is possibly a record until now. So that brings them right here. The Zimbabweans. Well, they are... where are they? The Zimbabweans? Is these the Zimbabweans? No. I tend to... That's a problem, you know, these two colors, they look so similar. I always have a problem to distinguish them. And they were here, weren't they? Damn, I gotta check that later. I think they were... I'm not sure they were here or here. I think they were actually here. Whatever. I'm gonna check that later. They are here in that dark age. Okay. So, that means they only get half their points. Number 1 in Africa and their homeland, so that gives them 2 points. And the Incas, well, that's 2 points for the Incas. So the yellow player is no longer the third, but now it's actually the red player closing up to the others. Okay, well, it's definitely interesting to see if we find someone who wants to fill this niche here. And I'm not sure who could. We could actually play the Huns again. I thought about that. But, well, whatever. We're going to see in the next turns, I guess. So, hope to see you then, or on lonesomegamer.com. Bye.